Welcome to Logo 3. Great to have you here with us today. I think this is going to be interesting and fun. On March 6th, about 2.5 weeks ago, Maya Moore was interviewed on ESPN, and she talked about a variety of subjects. The interviewer spoke to her especially about particular individuals, historical figures, as well as current players. And so we're going to look at that video, that interview, and we're going to talk about it some. So let's get at it.
What does this mean to that little girl who was shooting baskets, dreaming hoop dreams as a kid?
Man, it's pretty surreal. It's not something I necessarily was aware of as that 8-year-old little girl shooting in the driveway.
How easily flowing Maya is speaking, very relaxed, and just sort of be aware of that, because we're going to compare something to that later. Let's continue. This is an 8-minute interview with Maya, so we'll move this along in some fashion anyway, but there's lots of good parts to it.
But it's just humbling to look up and just to look around and to see, especially the people that I'll be going in with, hopefully, and that is, it's just a really overwhelming feeling.
One of them is Sue Bird, a fellow Husky. What does it mean to potentially go in with her?
Yeah, it's crazy. I just remember being the baby on the national team.
So, again, her flowing conversation, talking about being a baby on the national team. This is Connecticut. That team historically has been stacked. They've won a lot of national championships, looking to become in as a rookie. And she's got Sue Bird and other, historical, excellent, really great basketball players. Gives you a little history of the nature of why Connecticut and teams like Tennessee, they dominated in their time. And so they just kept bringing in these great players, and you can see how they won.
Back in 2010, and just being in awe of players like Sue and Tamika, and now just to be counted as like a peer of theirs is just so cool.
Again, flowing, smiling. She knows what she's talking about. It's very spontaneous. She's just speaking how things are.
What's going on in women's college basketball and women's basketball in general that I wanted to get your thoughts on? Another fellow Husky, Diana Taurasi, announced her retirement recently. What did she mean to the game?
Yeah, man, there's no one like Dee. It's just an experience. She is an experience, I'll say that. It's crazy too. I remember.
So again, very flowing, smiling. As she talks, she goes to, Diana, like she's this experience. So there's something about Diana as a person and perhaps as her game. We're mostly interested about the game.
On my recruiting visit as a wide-eyed 18-year-old, or actually 17-year-old, and meeting Diana and Sue, and just the energy and the life that she brings to whatever room she's in, whatever team she's on. And I just remember.
So what she's saying about Diana Taurasi, the energy and the life she brings around the people in the game. I mean, it's a great comment. Nothing wrong with that at all. But she's speaking to, the nature of what Diana brings to the table. So just be aware, she's talking about these different players, and she's speaking about, different aspects of them that stand out on that one can celebrate and honor.
As a young player, looking up to Diana of how she carried herself, always in go mode, and that motor that she has, that energy that she has, it's infectious. And
okay, so Diana always in this go mode, infectious energy, right? What she brings to the game and to her teammates. Excellent thing to be citing.
You couple that with the talent and the work ethic that she has, it was just an unbelievable career that she had.
By the way, Diana Taurasi had 6 gold medals. That's 24 years. I mean, give her a ton of credit. I didn't really watch her in her prime, but she's smooth and, she deserves all kinds of accolades. Wasn't quite the player in those last year before she retired as before, but she could still play the game.
There's so many players who cite you as an inspiration for their games, including Caitlin Clark, who's just absolutely a phenomenon in college, came into the WNBA with a whole lot of hype, lived up to it, and now she is ready to take the next step. What's that next step like for her?
So watch how Maya Moore, how she speaks, the flow, her mannerisms, tone of voice, how she brings forth her description.
Next steps, gosh, in this generation, right? You have, I think, just so many more challenges of how to handle yourself as an adult, right? You go through that whirlwind of being a senior in college, transitioning into the W, and then the next step is how to become just an even better leader. And so much of leadership, I think, is listening.
Okay, we're just beginning the good parts here. Yeah, we're looking at how she's going to talk about Caitlin, how the interviewer asked the question, but in particular how Maya answers the question. So now she's talking about players nowadays. Well, okay, we're going to end up getting into social justice, sort of, and this kind of environment. So yeah, the game's a bit different, and so there's some relevancy to what Maya is speaking of, one could say. Although it's not basketball, we're talking about cultural issues and social justice, etc. So she says now it's about being an adult, and she starts to talk about the importance of listening to be a leader. Keep that in mind as we go forward.
And learning, and hopefully the more she can get connected to vets in the league and just different people and coaches.
All right, this is where I start to say, oh my God. Okay, be an adult, be a leader, listening and then connecting with others. So what you talking about here? A couple of different areas we can go to. I'll start to say a couple of comments that Caitlin's a freaking leader, okay? She's on her team, she leads her team, she's aggressive, she makes incredible passes, she pushes the offense forward. She's charismatic, and she's wildly competitive and entertaining, but competitive. So being a leader, she has to learn to be a leader on the team. She has to learn to listen and connect. What are we talking about? When have you heard anybody in the NBA talk about other players, other stars, that they need to learn to be able to listen and to be able to connect? Are we talking about basketball, or are we talking about another subject?
And anyone that she can glean wisdom from of how to just continue to learn how to be as a connected and inspiring leader as she can be. And a lot of that is...
So, just repeat. Listening, how to be a better leader, connecting. And now we're talking about being inspiring, okay? Gee, let me think. Caitlin's career in college, what was her effect throughout the women's game and the basketball game? TV ratings, sold out arenas, girls from all over the country, little kids. We're talking about being an inspiring leader. Well, this is her next step. This is where she needs to learn to grow, according to Maya Moore.
In the walk and not just talking the talk. So she's already on her way. But, continuing to have fun, continuing to anticipate how people are going to try to stop her, and being prepared as she can be for next season.
One of our analysts, Andrea Carter, says when she watches Juju Watkins, she sees your game in Juju. When you watch Juju, what do you see?
Man, Juju, first of all, just her physical body, right? She takes, looks like she takes really good care of her body to be strong, to be able to move, to be able to do different things on the court. I think that was one of my strengths, was there really wasn't an area of the game that I couldn't be pretty effective in. And so she's got the full package that way of looking like she cares about defense.
It's true. Juju plays better D than, let's say, Caitlin. And the way she says that, like, she cares about looking like she wants to play D, that would seem to be sort of a jump off of the previous topic of Caitlin Clark. Not going to get too crazy on that. Juju's an all-around player. She's a great player. But again, here, Maya gets quite animated. She talks very regular. Juju takes care of her body, to be able to do what she does. Well, okay. Caitlin, come on. She got beat up throughout her first year in the WNBA. She keeps getting up. She leads her team. She manages to not get hurt. Is not Caitlin apparently seemingly taking care of her body? We'll continue.
Obviously still areas to grow in all categories, but just offensively, she's a bucket, right? So I enjoyed scoring, just like Juju does. So if she can continue to try to bring that joy, try to continue to be a leader, the sky's the limit. But she's smooth. She's smooth as well. Love watching her game.
And then there's Paige Beckers, who says she takes great comfort in knowing that you're always a phone call away. Want to get your thoughts on her game and what motivates you to be there for these younger players?
Yeah, Paige, man, it's been I wish we could spend more time together, but life is so busy. But she, like she said, phone call away. These players like Paige, who started off her career knowing there's a bigger picture, right? I remember her at the ESPYs talking about honoring other people, and it's bigger than basketball. So I'm really...
Well, there you go. And this is, again, as an individual, Maya can have this perspective, but she should be aware of she's not talking pure basketball. And, so both can be okay, but you shouldn't talk about Diana Taurasi's energy and spirit and her competitiveness and act as if, don't shed any of that relative to Caitlin, for example. And I'm not trying to be crazy Caitlin. I'm just pointing out, here's this major veteran player being interviewed by ESPN, and look where the focus goes on. It goes on what Caitlin hasn't gotten yet, and all these other players you just celebrate. The what's most what you can most appreciate them, where they stand out. But not so with Caitlin. Play this final little piece here again because it's good.
For the way she is tried to speak and use her voice and care about things bigger than basketball. That's near and dear to my heart. But she also works hard. She has fun. She's a team player. You almost want her to be even more aggressive on the offensive end because she looks for her teammates so much. But her poise, that's what's always impressed me about Paige, is her poise, even as a freshman.
Poise? Need I say more? Comparisons?
NCAA tournament coming up. There's a lot of star power spread out across the country. No real dominant team, but a lot of teams with 2 losses, 3 losses, 4 losses. When you look around, which teams do you see have the makeup to do it the way your Huskies did it twice?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm clearly biased for my Huskies. It's been so...
All right, I'm going to shout out something right now. Talking about the Connecticut Huskies. They won a lot of national championships. Tennessee had their period of dominating, for example. People like Donna Taurasi says, Caitlin wasn't put on the Olympic team. Well, she didn't win 2 or 3 national championships in college. So there's some level of, this GOAT conversation of you have to win the championships. So Caitlin took a weak team like Iowa with, they weren't a major program, even though they loved their basketball in Iowa. And she led them on her back all 4 years and the last 2 years to the NCAA finals. Made major upsets along the way. So now we're going to talk about these programs. So I'm just going to sort of point out the fact that there's this whole area of not recognizing that while Caitlin didn't win national championships, she dominated basketball, college basketball. Of course, incredibly brought the attention to the game, right? So just a shout out on that topic.
Fun. Watching them get healthy, right? It's just been a crazy journey for them. Paige being injured and AZ being injured. You got players coming off the bench now that are healthy, post players especially. And so at their full capacity, it's fun. Our rivalry with Notre Dame, it runs deep and it goes back, but they're playing really well. They've been really, Hannah Hidalgo, just super fun to watch. Just that energy, right? Anytime you see players with that energy and that pop and that spark. But UCLA, just across the board, has been, pretty consistent. Their depth. And then USC, there's just teams. Texas, right? You've got so much parity, which is really fun. But I feel like when my Huskies are healthy, we have that depth again and the talent. So that's all I'm going to say for now.
Yeah, the women's college game obviously has...
So she does a pretty good job there of being admittedly biased, but not going over the top. Not that it's a real big deal, but give her some accolades for having, Connecticut's her team. She shows it, and she doesn't go too far. She recognizes these other teams. She embraces parity, which is a great thing, which isn't one of the things women's college basketball has had going for them in a major way over the last 2 or 3 decades.
Game obviously has benefited from its star power the last few years. It's transferred now into the WNBA, which is also benefiting from that. You have Unrivaled now, which has got off to a strong start. What do you think about the overall growth of the women's game?
Okay, no big deal. I know I'm talking Caitlin. We follow her, and, she, of course, is a great player with unusual, if not crazy, ability to attract attention to the game, right? So now this guy says that in the last 2 years, women's basketball, due to the star power in coming out of college, has created, a change for the WNBA as well. Whatever. Doesn't mention Caitlin. And, you can talk about Angel Reese and a few of the other players this year's last year's WNBA draft. But obviously, Caitlin is the primary energy behind it. We'll continue. Let's see.
Yeah, speaking of unrivaled, I mean, that's just a beautiful testament to when people, but especially women, getting an opportunity to be creative and create something new, right? There's a need. Let's fill it. When you give people the capacity, when you spread the word of like, hey, we're trying to create something new and awesome, and then it happens.
So now she's talking about promoting women's basketball. And from my perspective, I'm rather critical of pushing down people because they don't fall into the narrative of the social justice and the somewhat woke WNBA. Here she's talking about women's basketball. Women deserve a better chance. We want to promote that. Now that's more mainstream for one. She's sharing it as part of her passion, and I'm acknowledging and I'm honoring that. And she talks about it in, very balanced, good way.
It's just really cool. So I've enjoyed watching the Unrivaled games. I love the setup. I hear it's a good time live in person, which is the most important thing for people to have a good experience when they're there. But just hooping, right? At the end of the day, we love hooping. And so you get to see that on display when you see these players, and also just learn more about their lives and being able to give them their flowers and appreciate them. I just love the appreciation and the love that is able to be seen, shown, and experienced right now in the women's game.
So maybe a comment there. She wants she wants recognition given to the players. And it's absolutely true. WNBA players have been working hard over the last couple of decades. They don't get the attention as far as TV coverage and overall coverage. It's understandable that they're sour on this, okay? And so now suddenly it's improving, and it improves suddenly. And, Caitlin Clark happens to be the primary, she's a spearhead that has brought the attention and has pushed this forward. So it's human nature that these people, the women in the league, will have some jealousy and stuff. But, the question is, where do you balance that out? And where do you take it to recognize that, the water's rising, all the boats raise up in the air, right? They're going to get more money, more recognition. They now have charter flights going to all their games. Just pointing out that some of this is human nature. However, when it's unchecked, and whether we go to the league or I'll have another video about the league. I understand the players there can be upset, right? But again, they need to get over that to some degree and not be petty about it. There's been a lot of content about calling the women player, the WNBA players, of being petty, jealous, and needing to move on.
Well, I got a good feeling there's a whole lot of love coming your way on April 5th when the inductees for this year of the Hall of Fame are announced. I think you're a shoo-in. And congratulations on that and everything you've contributed to the game. And thanks for taking some time to join us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So thank you. I appreciate your patience in this somewhat longer video. Maya Moore was a great player, right? I saw, highlights of her, and she could do it all, right? 3-level scoring. She was smooth and won consistently when she played. She retired a bit early and has her own little unusual personal history of, being relentlessly working to get a gentleman freed from jail, whom she soon thereafter married. So with all that said, mostly just pointing out the nuances of how Caitlin and her game is minimized, and how that the benchmarks and what people where you look for what's good about them versus where can we tear somebody down. It's just different standards from most all the other players versus Caitlin. Thank you from Logo 3. Give me your thoughts. Go ahead and subscribe. Hope you're having a great day. Look forward to the next time. Take care.